What, are you gonna cry now? Come on, cry, baby, cry for me. Come on, cry.
All right, let's get down to business today. Just watched Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. This is a spoiler review, spoiler everything. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, or as free as possible. Go watch it as free as possible. Please have like watch parties so that less people have to put money in their pockets. I'm gonna be honest and I'm gonna be truthful about this whole thing. If you don't know what I felt about this movie prior, link to every video that I discussed this freaking crap is in the description below. Please navigate my Resident Evil playlist. I have played Code Veronica fully. I have played Zero a little bit. I intend to play all of them, like from beginning to end. I've done so basically for the most part, except 3 remake and 3 original, and all the originals from 1, 2, and 3, basically. Everything else I've played, literally. Okay, so I'm going to be breaking this video down in parts. Link is in the description to each one of those parts. I'm going to do my best to timestamp it because this is going to be a long one. Like I've said in previous videos, you can stop right where you are on YouTube and come right back to it. Do not act like you cannot watch a whole video. You need to exercise your attention span or something. All right? Because these people are just plopping out 10-minute, 5-minute videos about this movie when it goes so much deeper than 10 minutes. I can't possibly imagine being someone who just talked about this movie for 10 minutes and actually calling yourself a true fan of Resident Evil. But, okay. So the first part is the synopsis of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 games. 2, synopsis of Welcome to Raccoon City. 3, be the 10 staples every Resident Evil piece of art needs, whether it be the games, movies, TV shows. If you're new on this channel, I have these 10 aspects of Resident Evil that I hold every single piece of media that has to do with Resident Evil that we can interact with and play and watch to. That is the standard, and that is what I believe should be carried through every time we watch or play one of these games. I'll get into it when I get into it. But for now, we're going to start with synopsis of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. Before we can get into Welcome to Raccoon City, if you don't want to talk about this, just go to the timestamps and continue on. But for the people who want to just go down memory lane before we go into this garbage truck trash heap pile of crap and good for nothing pieces of garbage, this disgusting piece of trash that was not a faithful adaptation, you freaking liars. In order for me to prove this to you, we must go down memory lane. Resident Evil 1 took place within the Spencer Mansion, following Jill mostly and Chris secondarily, all while juggling characters like Barry, Rebecca, and Wesker around with other kind of little irrelevant characters that for some reason had to be put in Welcome to Raccoon City even though they don't live past 1 or 2. So the story follows Elite Special Tactics and Rescue Service, or STARS, members, a division of the Raccoon City Police Department. By the way, let's take a sec to recall who the STARS members are, all right? All right, here we go. Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Richard Akins, Brad Vickers, Enrico Marini, Forrest Speyer, Joseph Frost, Edward Dewey, Kenneth J. Sullivan, and last but not least, the Albert Wesker, okay? All right, so first of all, before I get really enraged, before I get so intense right now. I completely understand reducing this cast for a movie, but how about you don't put 3 games in one movie? How about that? How about you lessen the load on your freaking gosh darn self? Welcome to Raccoon City shouldn't have been called Welcome to Raccoon City, first of all. And if you wanted to do a prequel type situation, which you should probably do with Zero, because since you're gonna put Enrico in here, like Enrico was someone special to anybody, you might as well put the only other game he was in before he died, to be honest. And like I said, this is a spoiler review, so if you don't want to hear nothing about this, you can go forward on. But these games are really old, and I don't understand why you haven't played them yet if you're like trying to be here talking about this, but whatever. I completely understand not wanting to have everybody and their mom here, but Rebecca and Barry had more lines in the entire series than Richard Aiken and Rico Marini had together in this one game that they were in. And technically, yeah, whatever you want to say, he's in Zero, that's fine. But no one really cares about Zero, because y'all didn't even care to remake Zero. You just like revamped it for a little bit a while ago. And then you're like, that's good enough. That's good enough. Even though Resident Evil 1 was revamped, 2 was revamped and remade. Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me. We're not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with you. But literally, who just like they had to be in Welcome to Raccoon City, despite not living past Resident Evil 1 chronologically. Second of all, in all those names, please tell me, when did I say Leon? When did I say Leon? Did I say Leon at all? No. He is a rookie. For all the Leon simps, stop complaining about him having his gun taken from him, because he's not at power level 9,000 plus in his first appearance in this universe. You're embarrassing yourself. Are you not embarrassed? Are you not? Stop. He is a rookie. Stop making him, he's like, oh, he's a bad A. He's a bad A. I'm literally sick and tired of seeing these e-boys talk about, he's a bad A. I can't believe he's the bad. Yes, he was played low and slow, like Gristle McGistle, but guess what? He has no one to play next to. But how about you guys play Resident Evil 2? How don't you play Resident Evil 2, the remake? And tell me how many times he talks to Ada, how many times he talks to people who he doesn't talk to in this movie, how many times that he interacts with, he has nothing to do. He has nothing to do. They took so much away from him, and that's not the fault of the actor. That's the fault of the writer and the director. So you need to go take your complaints to them and stop harassing Leon for, oh, you were useless. Oh, you weren't freaking doing somersaults. Oh, you weren't freaking flying like Superman. You weren't beating people up with a motorcycle. I can't believe this. What a sham. Like, freaking shut up. Literally, I cannot tell you enough to shut the freak up. It is infuriating just to think about y'all even existing in this world and thinking that Leon needs to be at power level 1 billion in his first appearance in this universe. I expect more from Jill, from Chris. I expected more from Rebecca even in her games than I got, because they are STARS members. I don't care if this girl's 18. The way that y'all are pushing Leon S. Kennedy to be like Superman every time you see him, Superman, that, oh, like, no, he's not. He shouldn't have been. He shouldn't be. All these CG movies that are connected to him, that he's the main staple boy in, is repulsive and false advertising. He's not like that in the games. He was only like that in 4 because he had no one to bounce off of. He was alone in exile. Ada Wong's the only person that can get in the vicinity of him. Y'all wrote him wrong. Y'all trash. Admit it. You are trash. He was written terribly. And now that all these losers are waiting for him to be the superhero and y'all aren't doing it because of course not, and I understand, this is what you get. This is what you get. But that's not what they get, because all the grievances y'all had for Leon, y'all gave to Joe Gaga or whatever that dude's name is. Y'all gave it to stupid freaking Jade's boyfriend from Victorious. Like, he cares. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It's his job to do what he was told to do. And he did the best he could. If you have any grievances, I suggest you talk to the people who made it. You freaking scrubs. Hate you. Making people leave Twitter, Instagram, and places and delete things because y'all are stupid and racist. When Resident Evil is a Japanese franchise, and if I expected anyone to be any other color or any other ethnicity or any other race, I would expect them to be Asian. And he's the only person of the cast who's just Asian. He's just Asian. And I've said in the past he looked like Leon Salvador Kennedy. And yes, I have corrected myself as I've known that he's Asian. And I've been saying that he's Asian since I've learned. And I'm going to keep saying it because y'all trash. Like I said, Leon is only a bad A at the end of Resident Evil 2 to some of y'all. Because y'all, first of all, you remember things differently than what really happened in reality. I don't know if that's psychosis or what, because I'm not a doctor. But I do know it when I see it. Because straight up, y'all got a lot of people in this fandom be having that problem. Ada made him look good, and he survived all odds because of her. I can somewhat forgive Capcom making him an action hero by Resident Evil 4 because despite the number difference between 2 and 4, he has been physically absent from the series and this universe where he originated from for 6 years. You can literally learn moves and jujitsu and whatever junk in that time, right? But Claire got ground level experience, and she's been damselized countless times. But let me digress. If you want to know how misogynistic Resident Evil is, link is in the description to those videos. I hope you enjoy those because those, I have all the passion in the world in there for that. Here we go, okay? Resident Evil 1 starts by telling us there's this star group and it's sent to investigate cannibalism and whatnot in the mountains or whatever. And Bravo team, who has Enrico as their leader, Edward D. Forrest S., Kenneth J.S., Rebecca C., and Snakefood Richard A. all go missing. And that missing piece of what was happening before Alpha Team came in is basically Zero. But they could have did a lot better. Like, if you know me and you've seen my videos, you know here and there I talk about Zero and how it could have been good. Like, this whole thing that literally in hindsight was done after the fact. Marcus is the same thing that happened to William, but it kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things because they were all sneaking behind each other's back. William was sneaking behind Marcus's back and Wesker was sneaking behind William's back. I think that's a really cool connection, even though it falls under the category of them not having any new ideas, just doing the same thing over and over again. I thought the Leech Queen or the Queen Leech was so like spot on. She's got class. It was crazy. It was really weird and wacky, but I was really fine with him doing like, honestly, I really don't understand who, like, they were on acid. Let me tell you, when I say whoever made that was on acid when they were creating it, like, it's crazy. Who thought that that was a good idea? Who thought that Zero should be this? And also another thing, sidebar, I have evidence to believe that Nemesis is Billy, and that's why we never see him again. Because if you watch my playthrough as much as I've played Resident Evil 0, you notice that when Billy talks to Rebecca for the first time, he's like, oh, you're with stars. First of all, he sounds like Nemesis when he says it. Second of all, he's very durable. Probably at the end of this video, I'll put the video of Billy getting beat up so hard and then he's still at fine. I think it's hilarious. But let me digress. So, Bravo team goes missing. And the good stars, the non-bootleg trash garbage stars Alpha team, consisting of Albert W., Barry B., Chris R., Jill V., Brad V., and Forrest, get chased into a mansion and Scooby-Doo separate. Now, at this point, I'm already ticked off in like before the movie. Based on the Wesker trailer and Tom Hopper talking about, well, he's talking about startup villain, blah, 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 blah. Like, it was very laughable. It was very laughable to hear him say that. Because, first of all, they're putting them on the front lines. I just think it's so interesting. Just like Dumb and Dumber on Game of Thrones, straight up put every actor before them so that they wouldn't have to deal with the problems. They would make literally the actors have to rationalize and tell the audience, well, she did this, and yeah, you just want that one piece of cake, and trying to freaking mental backflips to rationalize anything happening in the final season of Game of Thrones. That final season was garbage. I feel, like I said, if you know any of my videos, I've only talked about freaking Game of Thrones once, but to be honest, if you want to know my opinion, I thought that Game of Thrones was not as good as Merlin. If you want to see a good medieval time show that's kind of like family friendly, honestly, they had no blood until the final season. There's like no nipples shown. There's nothing. Literally, there is no sex at all. They barely kiss. When they kiss, it looks like it's the first time they kiss. I feel like if it would have gotten the Game of Thrones treatment and started killing people off and stuff, they do actually kill a lot of people in Merlin, but like doing it very bloodily and having a little bit of sex in it, I do believe that it would have been a lot more popular and it would have actually had some like traction. But I'm not here to talk about Merlin, but I'm just here to say that if you like Game of Thrones, you're going to love Merlin. But if you were just there just to see sex and blood, you're not going to like Merlin. But like I said, honestly, Tom Hopper was put on the front lines like Emilia Clarke was put on the front lines, basically saying this is going to be terrible. But they weren't saying it was going to be terrible because either they didn't know it was going to be terrible. By they, I mean Tom Hopper, because I know that Emilia Clarke knew that it was going to be horrible and she was going to face backlash, but people were really nice to her, as opposed to the people who are not nice to the actress who were playing Jill and Leon, respectfully. Really interesting. I wonder what the difference between Emilia Clarke is and them. I wonder what the difference is. But anyway, Wesker is literally a stereotypical villain. It's just like saying, well, we're not going to make the Joker a clown. I don't feel like that's the right direction to go. That's not your call, bro. Johannes, it's not your call, bro. You don't get to decide whether Albert Wesker is a stereotypical villain or not. You get to decide his skin color. You can do that if you want to. If you wanted to. You get to decide his skin color. But like I said, even as this white Anglo-Saxon of the freaking Caucasus Mountain, Tom Hopper was one of the last people I would have ever chose on this freaking green earth. I would have chosen Robin Williams had he still be alive before I would have chose Tom Hopper to be Albert Wesker. I don't understand where your mind was at. You're like, oh, I just wanted to... No, he did not emulate it. He was like going off on these like monologues. Like, and Wesker can monologue, but he actually monologued with people. Like he was with people. I mean, yes, he was with people now, but I don't know. I just feel like it was playing off of other people as well. And it's kind of just like spotlight on Tom Hopper. And I'm going to say Tom Hopper because he's not Wesker. He's not. And I think it's interesting that y'all say, oh, that's not my Jill. That's not my Leon. But you accept Wesker without his glasses. Even putting on the glasses would have made him more of a Wesker. And even that's still like, you can't just pick up a white person off the street and say, you are Claire, you cannot do that. That's why I think it's ridiculous with y'all with the skin color situation when they're still light as all get out. Still light as all get out. Get out of here. You haven't seen dark skin. Do you know what I look like? I am dark skinned. So I really don't understand why y'all are tripping. And even if they were as my skin complexion like that, I think that's really interesting that you guys are going to find that hill to die on for that situation. When there are a lot of issues with this welcome to Raccoon City bullcrap than just Jill being half part, kind of black. Wesker was literally wearing sunglasses indoors and in lab pictures. Stripping the goofiness yet dramatic aspects of Albert Wesker already has you at half point potential. You literally are already at a 5, and we haven't even started talking about Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm telling you right now. These okay, you know what? Stuff happens, things blow up. In fact, it's kind of sort of a staple to have a protagonist and antagonist fleeing from explosions. So I'm just like, you can't be like, well, we're trying to make this serious. It's not your call. You don't get to call how the villain who has made success for this company, for Capcom, for everyone that's connected to Albert Wesker, to change everything that makes this character the character. He might as well be somebody else. You might as well just have omitted Albert. As far as I'm concerned, there is no Albert Wesker in Welcome to Raccoon City. I don't see him. I barely see a William Birkin. I barely see a Birkin family. Holy crap. And still expect us to, with straight face, buy anything that you have to offer with this crap Wesker. It's unacceptable. Tom Hopper is an Anglo-Saxon. He's tall. He's really tall. And Wesker was really tall, but he wasn't towering. His model, if he's tall, everyone's tall around him, because when he's standing next to people and they kind of block, like literally watch Resident Evil 1 and you can see that they actually do really try to block him with, like, by blocking. Okay. For those who don't know about camera angles and whatnot for like acting and whatnot, I did some acting. in college, okay? I didn't do any acting on TV, but I did do some classes. When someone wants people to not necessarily look taller or towering over people, if it's not a part of the plan, like Hagrid, they even do that when they're trying to stop people from looking at the height difference. They will put certain people in the back of the person who is tall so that regardless, it looks like, okay, you can't tell. That's what the Kardashians do with Khloe, because Khloe's super freaking huge. And sometimes when they take pictures, Khloe will be pushed back or put the shortest person forward, or whichever way looks better for what environment is around them. There's a lot of blocking that happens with Vince Vaughn's movies because Vince Vaughn is super tall. And if it has nothing to do with the whole like funniness of the movie, it's really jarring to see someone really tall around a bunch of short people. This dude that is playing Albert Wesker, Tom Hopper, was in Merlin. Ironically, I really want to do a Merlin video, but it's so intricate and I really want to get it right that I'm not going to do it until I have complete and utter passion for it and I can get it done and provide it to you to the best of my ability, because I don't accept mediocrity. We never do. So this dude, Tom Hopper, was this dude, Percival, in Merlin. He was Percival of the Round Table. Percival's whole character was being stronger than everyone else, being bigger than everyone else. Even though there were some tall people on the show and it wasn't that like big of a deal, they still did blocking for him because he's super tall. And yes, like I said, Albert Wesker, he's like 2 inches taller than Albert Wesker. He should have been a tyrant. I'm telling you right now, like, when are we going to get tyrants on TV? When are we going to get tyrants in our face? When are you guys going to there's so many things that are absent from the games that serve no purpose but to tick us off, just to tick the people who actually want to give you the money for this off. That's why I didn't pay a cent for this movie. I didn't pay a single cent. Free, boy. Free. I watched it for free because I'm not paying 10 cents. If it was 9 cents, I would pay for it. It's worth 9 cents to me. It's worth 8 cents to me. It's not worth 10 cents. I'm done talking about Resident Evil 1. It's not that, like, if you want to see everything about it, I will eventually play it on Xbox. I've actually done so already and beat it, but I'll play it again for YouTube because Twitch is trash and garbage and should not exist. It doesn't keep things the way that Mixer kept things and allowed you to download it instantly. You got to go through like 9 different things to download your crap because they want to make it as difficult as possible for smaller channels to not thrive. They want you to be there to give subscriptions to bigger people, but they don't want you to exist so that you become big. That's what Twitch is like, and I hate Twitch. I hate Twitch with a passion. Trash. Mixer was better. Mixer will always be better. But I'm done talking about Resident Evil 1. If you want to know more about Resident Evil 1, link is in the description. I have a few videos that I talk about Resident Evil 1. I don't have one as of right now, about the rating that I would give it, but I will most certainly do it when I play the game. That's the deal. That's the deal. When I play the game and finish it, hopefully. Because Resident Evil 0 I did not finish because it's a hard game. It's too hard. I'm not going to sit there and waste my time. Like, it's too hard. It's harder than Code Veronica. And if anyone thinks Code Veronica is hard, don't play 0 because you're not going to play. You're not going to win. You're not going to be good. But let's talk about Resident Evil 2 before we talk about Welcome to Raccoon City. If you don't want to hear this breakdown for a little bit, this quick run through, go to the marker that I've provided for you. Now, Resident Evil 2 takes place within Raccoon City. That's where the Welcome to Raccoon City part comes into play, which a little over 1 or 2 months after Resident Evil 1. I can't remember exactly. It was like September 30th or something dumb. And then Resident Evil 1 was like something else. I don't know. I can't remember. But it's like a few months, okay? A few months after. A few less characters on the freaking roster, okay? Literally, Claire and Leon at the time were both equally unprepared for this apocalypse, but one of them needed constant help to survive and got shot, while another not only played babysitter, but didn't get shot and didn't need much help fighting the same exact threats. But regardless of what was the original, as time went on, one of those people, the person who didn't need any help and was babysitting, was reduced to damsel in later installments and movies and TV shows now. We can say TV shows. While the other who got shot, the other who needed help from a woman, losers, you freaking losers that think women can't do nothing. Ada Wong helped your freaking white knight, Leon S. Kennedy. He's trash and bum garbage. Hate him. I hate him. Is getting the Superman treatment. Is getting the not a scratch on him treatment. Is getting the nothing ever happens to him treatment. Leon is the Mary Sue that keeps you up at night. Leon is the true Mary Sue. Leon S. Kennedy is the king of all Mary Sues, and not a single quarter of a man, loser-rotic, or doom trash is talking about Leon S. Kennedy being a loser that nothing bad ever happens to, and he never needs anything. Everything just happens for him. Everything works out peachy fine, while simultaneously being a nuisance to my sensibilities. Now, I'm not gonna compare and contrast Resident Evil 2 and the remake. That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're gonna do today. But what I will say is in either game, whether you play the original or the remake, it's Claire side A, Leon side B. That's the canonical order. This is Claire's game. Leon is the side character. He is the side piece. He is the biscuit to the chicken dinner. He is the sauce to the burger. He literally is the side dish. He's the side dish, okay? Now, did I expect a beat for beat of Resident Evil 2 when watching Welcome to Raccoon City? Of course not. I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't give some non-fan that much credit. I expected better, though. I expected you to know at least all 5 forms of William Birkin if you were going to have him in this movie. So I would like to show you right now G1, G2, G3, G4, and G5. And for reference, this is William Birkin. He's not old. He didn't live to old age. You chose the wrong actor, bub. Johanne, that's already more than 3 strikes. You fail. He put effort into the wrong things, like getting right the condiments on the truck driver's burger in the beginning of the game, or trying to make Wesker different than his original character. How are you going to say, oh, well, I didn't want Pac-Man to eat fruit. He's going to eat burgers today. That's not faithful. How's that a faithful adaptation? I don't understand. I think you guys just don't understand what faithful adaptation means. I think your mom told you something that was not the truth, and you brought it forth in adulthood, and you never got educated. I think you are uneducated in that aspect. I think you really don't understand. Anyone claiming that Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is faithful adaptation either just doesn't understand what that word means, that sentence. Like, they don't understand what it means, or they are just willfully, wholeheartedly stupid. What makes Resident Evil 2 great was Ada's mysteriousness, Wesker's betrayal, the Scooby-Doo kind of goofiness, Jill's awesomeness. Her ability to play the piano was cool because a lot of people remember that. That's kind of iconic. And you took it away for some reason. William's sad story about being betrayed as well. Hunk. And ironically, in hindsight, when Zero happened, when William and Albert Wesker teamed up against Marcus, that was great. That's in hindsight, but I understand. Every fan is different. You may not know that, but it's really great to know that William's story ended the same way that Marcus's story ended. It was kind of like a beat for beat thing, and it's like, if you want to get into how Capcom steals, and sometimes that stealing happens to be from themselves, I have a video on that too, but it's just crazy. It's really crazy. They have no unique ideas. Everything is just a remake of everything else in later games. It's insane. They're not callbacks. Callbacks are like having a freaking typewriter in the corner. That's a callback. Having the exact same thing with different characters is not a callback. I'm sorry. Not sorry, though. Every great part of Resident Evil 2 was removed in Welcome to Raccoon City. Nothing of value was kept except the namesake, Resident Evil characters, and minimum connection to some kind of story, enough so that it wouldn't be confused for Silent Hill or The Evil Within. But you don't get accolades for mediocrity. in bare minimum execution. I don't care how much effort you put into putting lettuce on a burger. I don't care how much effort you put into making the mansion opening parts. Okay? I don't care when your crap is garbage. I don't care when you gave everything that made Jill great to Claire and Wesker and everybody else and just passing out her like characteristics to everybody and then having her be left with nothing but the fact that she's half black. That's it. That's all you did. You're like, oh, congratulations. Let's all clap. Let's all clap. Look at that. I'm supposed to be grateful because someone that doesn't look like me is being called me, and then people looking at me like, oh, it's your fault, like for even existing. That's not how we do things. That's not how we do diversity. Y'all are making diversity a slur. So where people think that you say diversity, that just means a white person's losing a job. Like, honestly, I really don't understand where you were going with the casting. I don't know what your goal was, because it wasn't to find the best people for the job. Because like I said, Wesker was the worst person for the job, and he fits the Anglo-ness of Albert Wesker from the games. He shares that with him. That's all they share. And what help did it do? Leon S. Kennedy was more Leon S. Kennedy than a white dude who played it in Paul's Anderson's whatever garbage. What little aspects they kept for Welcome to Raccoon City weren't worth watching the movie if you enjoyed the games at all. Welcome to Raccoon City is an insult to Resident Evil. And anyone who claims this is a faithful adaptation should be tried for slander. Yeah. You can like trash if you want, all you want. You can roll around in the trash all you please. That's your right, I guess. But you're not gonna lie. Not on my watch. Faithful, by Google's word, means to remain loyal, steadfast, true to the facts or the original. Now tell me, what about Jill Valentine, aside from her looks, because she does actually look like Jill Valentine. Those pictures that I saw of her were of her having darker makeup. A lot of light-skinned people with phenotypes of black people do that. And even those who don't, like Kim Kardashian, have darker skin because it's makeup. It's tanning. Because they can take it off and they don't have to live the black experience. But anyway, this girl who's playing Jill Valentine can play the piano. And y'all did this whole thing and you made her play the piano on camera so that we could be disappointed when we didn't see her do it in the movie. I think that's really funny. I think that's not funny. I think that's actually quite dangerous because a lot of people are being horrible to her and stuff that she didn't need when she didn't even like have to have this job, but you gave her this job so that she could absorb all of the horribleness that this toxic fan base has to offer. There was no point. Like, she did a great job, I think, with what she had because she wasn't told to be Jill Valentine. She was told to be what Johanne wanted Jill Valentine to be. And I think it's interesting because the people who made Welcome to Raccoon City only kept Jill Valentine in the story because if they removed her, there would have been a boycott. Literally, someone told him, you can get rid of Rebecca. No one cares about Rebecca. You can barely have Ada Wong in here. No one cares about Ada Wong, even though there are a lot of people who care about Ada Wong. I personally hate Ada Wong. I do not like Ada Wong. I still ride or die for her anytime there's a issue, any slander against her, because gals before pals. But I hate Ada Wong, and I have good reason to. And I talk about it in some of my videos. If you are a Dragoon and you've been watching my videos for a while, you know my opinions about Ada Wong. But they were like, you can't get rid of Jill. So he was so upset. He's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give this woman who's half black so that they can say that she's all black and then blame black people and not blame him. Everything was like choreographed to a T and it worked out in his favor because no one is complaining to him about her being half black. They're going to her and being mean to her like it's not a job. No amount of money that she was offered or given was worth all of the horribleness that she's been receiving. And it's like interesting because no one's saying anything to Tom Hopper, even though he's a very bad Wesker. He's the worst Wesker. I would tell him to his face, you were the worst Wesker I've ever seen in my life. I loved you as Percival in Merlin. You were okay as Dickon in Game of Thrones. You were just like there. You were better as Percival. You were a horrible Albert Wesker. Horrible. For the simple fact that no one is telling him that. No one is saying that. No one's going to him. He doesn't have to deactivate his TikTok because y'all don't care because he's white. You can't just, like I said, you can't just put a white person in. You have to actually care. You have to take into consideration what they look like. You have to take into consideration how they act. And if you can't do both of those things, then you need to find another job and go somewhere else. I'm taking it up to the cast director, the casting director. It is your fault. It is your fault for any issue that anybody has with this movie because you decided to play games all around. No character was spared from this. For every single character casted, there is a but to the goodness. Claire looks fine, I guess, but she's not Resident Evil 2 Claire, and I can admit that. She's serving very much so, stealing everybody else's characteristics. She's very much sponging it up. And guess what the quarter of the men are going to do? They're going to say, well, every woman's taking everything. Shut up. Freaking quarter of a man, first of all. Like, shut up. I bet you anything. He's got like 10 videos about freaking Claire being a Mary Sue or something dumb. Literally, shut up. Literally, like, but Claire is very much so taking other people's characteristics like she has none of her own. And I don't know where this is. Somebody please link it in the description. I remember before Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City came out, there was this article where the people that had to do with creating the movie straight up said Claire and Jill were the same character, basically. They only said that because they were women. Don't come to the comments and say, oh, well, stop making excuses for sexism. Stop making excuses for misogyny. They didn't even want women in here. That's why Rebecca's absent, even though she outlives every person that they put in here instead of her. Enrico, are you serious? Enrico Aiken? Are you kidding me? Leon is a goofball, and that's fine, but yada, yada, yada. William Birkin is terrible. Like, there's no helping William Birkin. There's no helping Wesker either. Chris is fine looking. He is the best casted, but he's. I think you need to play Resident Evil 1 again to see how Chris is. I think you guys really need to do that. I think you really do. You really do. Play the remake. I really don't give a flying freak. Like, freaking fly over that freak moon, freak. Do it. I don't mind because I don't give it. I can't give it to you. I don't have it. Everything that happened, and then with Chris Redfield, the reason why Chris Redfield is the best typecasted, the best casted, is because the loser Johanne can relate to him. He can relate to him. Even if he can't literally, because he may not have any aspects connecting to him other than the fact that they're both white male. It's the simple fact that he thinks he can connect with him. And it shows. That's why we say we need different people at high levels. We need black people at high levels. We need Asian people at high levels. Because this is what happens. Oh, didn't you want diversity? People are saying angry, being upset. And then when they make another movie and everyone's white, they're going to excuse it and say, well, y'all said you didn't like this, so we're never going to give any Asian, black, Hispanic person a chance ever again. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Stupid. A faithful adaptation is true to the facts or the original. Welcome to Raccoon City did not achieve it in the slightest. I called it a long time ago. I called all of this. I called the racism and animosity that would be directed directly towards Jill and Leon's actress and actor. I called that Wesker would change immediately at the end. I called the mistreatment of Jill's character. I called that Rebecca and Barry were going to be gone. I called the lack of actual Wesker in all of the videos I talked about Welcome to Raccoon City, which is linked below. My Resident Evil playlist is also linked below, which includes the Paul movies and the CG movies ranked, if you guys want to know my opinions about those. I'm not gonna lie like y'all are and say these Paul movies were better adaptations. They both fail. They both flunked. They freaking flunked the freak out of these movies. They both failed. F's. If it's a competition, there's no winner. There's just losers. There's no one on the podium. Johanne failed. Paul Anderson failed. But what Paul Anderson did do on his own, because like I said, he's connected to this. I don't know why y'all thought he wasn't. If you don't believe me, go check the website. If it's taken down because he's ashamed, it's on my YouTube as one of my shorts. The video's literally been passed around, you know, that that's me. I originally made that. What Paul did right in his movies was he brought Nemesis to life. He united a lot of the cast together, which for some reason can't be done for some reason. I just don't understand why. And then killed them off screen. But you know what? I know why he did that. He's roasted already. He's not half as roasted as he should be, to be honest. But he would have gotten demolished. He would have had to change his name to like William Scott Anderson. He would have had to drop the Paul because everyone would have been like, where Paul at? If they would have killed him on screen. And I think it would have been actually kind of cool because I have no connection. Like, I just consider it not real. I consider it some alternate universe. I just like, it is. It's an alternate universe. You shouldn't really care. Like, I didn't care, like, what happened. I didn't care about Alice. It's like, whatever, okay. But if you want to know my opinion about those, I told you, links in the description. But Paul had a decent grasp of Resident Evil lore, enough to include Barry. He didn't include Rebecca because, of course not. Misogyny. Of course not. The only reason why Ada was able to be there is because she was in a silk dress. Eye candy. As if we wouldn't be able to distinguish between any other character and Ada Wong, the only very noticeably Eastern Asian person of the cast. Shut up. Stop making excuses for misogyny. Stop making excuses. You scrubs. You dirty, filthy scrubs. Rebecca was 18. Like, let's not. But Paul Anderson was in the right ballpark on the wrong day. Johanne couldn't find the ballpark. Dude was in the wrong town, in the wrong state, on the wrong planet. And if you don't believe me, I suggest you go find this movie for free if you can watch it through the window of some place, because it's not worth 10 cents. I don't know how many times I have to let you guys know that, but I'm gonna keep saying it because obviously since you guys have ticket stubs to this freaking movie, you didn't believe me. And then when you left, how'd you feel? Did you feel good? Did you feel good watching that and being a Resident Evil fan? I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about how great this movie was, and I'm like, how much were y'all paid? How much were y'all paid to say how good this movie was? Because it's like, I don't know. I think they're just saying it's a good movie, not Resident Evil movie. Just like a good movie made. A good movie made to create. Like, I don't know what standards you guys are having, but you can't be on the same earth as me. You can't be watching the same movie as me. Maybe I got the wrong movie. It was trash. It was trash. It was garbage. And we're gonna talk about this. But if you're cool and you're not even going to somebody's house, you don't know nobody who's dumb enough to pay any amount of money for this movie, and you want to know all about it, you're in luck. Let's get to the next part of this video. Basically, the rundown of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. So, the synopsis of Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm going to talk about the characters individually in a second, but we're gonna talk about the definition of an unfaithful adaptation. And before I get into this, no reason to talk about Resident Evil 0 because Rebecca was omitted, but Enrico wasn't. And okay, I'm not arguing about why. Okay. I just know any excuse you can come up with is, oh, Enrico was the later, Rebecca's it's trash. Deaf ears. It's trash. I'm not listening to it. I'm not listening to it. I'm not going to respond to it. You can say whatever you want in the comments. And the reason why Enrico was there and Rebecca wasn't, forget you. Literally forget you. Go to Castle Oblivion and be gone. I love Code Veronica, but I literally cannot talk about it without bursting into song and dance. So I'll only discuss it as it's referenced through Welcome to Raccoon City. If you want to know my opinion about Resident Evil Code Veronica, I've played it, I've rated it, and I love it. Link is in the description. Now, if I could say Welcome to Raccoon City was anything, it's a bad excuse for a movie. Those Alice movies were bad fanfic. It was bad fanfic, okay? But this new movie is a bad excuse for a movie. It's a bad excuse. It's like terrible. It's like something that I couldn't have even made if someone gave me their request for me to make the worst movie I could ever come up with and used Resident Evil as its backbone. I couldn't have came up with an even worse situation because I feel like anything else could have been better. You're giving the wrong people money because Johanne failed. He failed. Anyone who liked this movie didn't like it because it was a good Resident Evil movie. They liked it because of the blood. They liked it because of the zombies. They liked it because of the nostalgia. They didn't like it because it was a good Resident Evil movie. Trash. So Welcome to Raccoon City begins. And I just want to let everybody know, I did give this stupid, disgusting trash movie a very, very fair shake before watching it. I watched it by myself. I watched it in the dark. I watched it the best possible way you possibly could. And it was still Not even subpar. It was bad. It was bad. Like, once you start watching the movie, you notice that it's too dark everywhere. Oh, that burger from Resident Evil Remake 2 or whatever, 2 Remake, trash. Can't even see the burger. Can't even see the trailers were very much so misleading, as they make it seem like everything is going to be bright enough for you to see. See, there's this new thing that Hollywood's doing, and it's so that we don't see how bad the quality of the actual movie is. We hear all these good things about, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. First of all, no new ideas at all. Just the same old every day. 2, they say all these bright and awesome people are in here when, how are we supposed to see them when it's too dark? 3, it's just trash. It's just garbage. Honestly, it's just garbage. So, like, there was too much emphasis on the orphanage. That was a literal throwaway location no one was deeply connected to in the games. If Claire and Chris are orphans in the game, the only proof we get of this is that they look nothing alike. And they make it seem like they are blood related. They're not just brother and sister because they're, like, together inside this orphanage. They literally say that they're brother and sister. One thing I do gotta ask is, why are we opening with Claire and Chris's children? Why? Yeah, there has to be some liberties taken when you recreate, but honestly, like, literally no one, I'm literally ready to fight someone in Mortal Kombat, Meet me in Outworld, boy. I am ready for you. If you say this is a faithful adaptation, we're already starting off poor. This is poor. I'm already bored. Like, where are all the zombies? It takes like 50 minutes to get zombies on the screen. The games did not take like 30 to 40 minutes to warm you up, butter you up. Not 1, not 2, not Code Veronica, since we're just gonna skip Jill's game. Like, Nemesis wasn't important to the overall series. Like, Jill being infected had nothing to do with her body reacting to Ouroboros 5. Yeah, don't play with me. I know my lore. I know how things happen. Don't play with me. Literally, as I'm watching this movie, I am so bored in this orphanage. Like, where's the carnage? Lisa Trevor's story is very sad, and I'll talk about it right now. So she was taken and experimented on because of her father, Y'all know that lore. If you're real Resident Evil fans, you know the lore about her and him and everything. You just need to know the bottom line. Claire never knew Lisa Trevor. In fact, I don't even think that they're peers. This stuff happens a long time ago. Literally, if you find it and you can find how old Lisa Trevor is in Resident Evil 1, which Claire was not in. Claire was not in Resident Evil 1. She did not meet Lisa Trevor. She did not use her as like her special ultimate. She knows nothing about Lisa Trevor. Honestly, Claire never knew her. That's the bottom line. Making this movie about Claire and exclusively about Claire was such a slap in Chris and Jill's face. And I don't care about Leon, but we'll get to Leon. So Claire is picked up by that dude who starts the game in the truck eating that burger that they loved. Johanne was like, oh, we just got the burger. We got the burger in here. Like, congratulations, you got the burger in here? What does that have to do with Resident Evil? Literally, this crap could have been omitted. This truck driver could have been omitted, and I'm going to keep talking about it. Because he's literally there just to be pervy to Claire and to show that people are turning into zombies when we already saw people turning into zombies. Why did Claire need to even be there? And then he comes back around. Well, come around, gonna back around. Like, he really literally turned himself back around, even though he was leaving town. The whole reason why he was picking her up to begin with is because he was driving through Raccoon City, not driving around Raccoon City, so that eventually they would be in the same place again. How does that make sense? And also, can we stop making sexual assault a plot device? Thank you. So he crashes into a girl. Claire investigates, and zombie, we all know that truck guy was like the worst actor of this entire movie. You guys got the dude who brings your coffee in and was like, come on, dude, here, put this truck driver hat on and be pervy to Claire. That's all you got to do with your life. That's all you have to do. And he was like, bet, dude, bet. I'll put this on my resume. No one wants to see that you were in Welcome to Raccoon City. At this point, I have more respect for whatever garbage, their gutter garbage, they're going to give us in the formation of the Wesker Children, Wesker Project crap, where Wesker, how did Wesker have kids? Why is Wesker? But anyway, the only thing I like about this movie were not even the creatures, really, because the creatures are only there for 2 seconds, but the effects of blood, literally the effects of blood. When I say the effects of blood, that's all I mean. I don't mean the blood and gore. I mean the effects. The scratching was very believable. Like some guy gets gobbled and swallowed on his neck. That looked very believable. Too bad we only see it for 2 seconds. Too bad, right? They decided to use our characters we knew to create their vision rather than looking at the source material like a good little boy. Johanne failed big time, as the movie is too dark and almost makes you forget Claire looks nothing like Claire. I actually thought she looked like Claire in the commercials and the trailer, 50,000 trailers explaining away errors and inaccuracies, but I just want to let you guys know that this girl was not a good Claire. You guys can keep sending her nice DMs and under her pictures talking about how she did such a great job. She was the best actress in this whole thing other than the woman who played Jill Valentine, but she had more screen time. Jill only had a couple words and she was whispering most of the time, but I liked her voice. I liked the voice she used. Literally, you guys need to stop being racist and sending hate letters and hate DMs to the girl who played Jill and the dude who played Invictorious. Literally, Claire looked no better. She literally does not look the part. I thought she did from pictures and all that. I literally take it all back. She looks nothing like Claire. She's literally just a white girl. And she doesn't even, like, some depictions of Claire have red hair and some depictions it's like auburn and then it turns to brown. It's kind of annoying because regardless, no matter what hair color you give Claire, she looks nothing like Chris. They don't look like siblings. They look like they were orphans and they were brought together by fate, and now that's why they're siblings. They always look like they did not look like each other. So I don't really care about that in the movie. What I do care about is the fact that she looks like Red Skull. Her face looks like a flat red skull. She does not look like Claire Redfield. So you can miss me with that, talking about how Jill doesn't look like Jill. Jill looks more like Jill than Claire does. Literally, y'all are just blind. Y'all just you can't see. And another thing that is very constant in this stupid movie. There's like text on screen a lot. Literally, show us what's going on. Don't tell us. How about that? Literally, that's like the first thing you learn in school. You need to literally go back to school. I think they're literally just giving people money. It's nepotism. Is Johanne related to someone who's already in the business? Because how did he get to step on the podium and say, I will do this. I will be the one who brings you guys this. Are you not satisfied? No, we're not satisfied. Johanne, you failed. You failed. Now, around this point of the movie, we meet Leon S. Kennedy, aka the second best part of the movie. I didn't think I would ever say that about Leon S. Kennedy, but Joga does a good job, or whatever his name is. Then we meet Not My Wesker, Albert Wesker, and Always My Jill, with some rando. Oh wait, that's Aiken or whatever, Vickers. Like, looks nothing like him. How are we supposed to know that unless you literally said it to us? How are we supposed to know that? How are we so? It's like, okay, here's an example of what I mean. You can put anybody in any role as long as they fit the criteria. What I'm telling you, Johannes, Albert Wesker did not fit the criteria to be Albert Wesker. It sounds like every time he speaks, he's trying to hide an accent. When you have to work triple time to hide an accent, maybe you shouldn't be playing this role. Maybe that role should have went to someone not him. Just because you are white and the person that you're betraying is white does not make it all right. That does not make it all right. So you guys need to get off skin color, because you don't care about skin color until people start being a little darker. You guys don't care about skin color. You don't care about what people look like, the accuracy, until people start getting dark. Because this dude was the exact same complexion as Albert Wesker and was garbage in the role. It was bad. It was terrible. In the end, it made me sick. That body bag was hilarious. It made me laugh. I literally LOL'd out loud. Roll on the floor laughing. It was very tragic. The Jill Sandwich thing was cute. It was cute, but it was better in the trailer. It was two different scenes, and I noticed it was two different scenes. It was not even the same scene. And yes, you don't give everything away, but no, you used the wrong take of her saying my Jill Sandwich, because she said my Jill Sandwich, and it just didn't flow as well as the trailer I saw. Would have been nice to see Leon talk a little bit more, have a little more to do, but why is he here? Why is he with the STARS members? He's not a member. See, this is why I had to talk about who was in STARS when I was talking about Resident Evil 1 and 2, the games, because they literally have him sitting like all together with the STARS members, like he is a STARS member, and it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, it matters lore-wise, but it doesn't matter in Johannes' eyes, because first of all, he didn't even play the games. He didn't even play the game, so he doesn't care. He doesn't know anything about Nemesis, or else he would have made space for Jill to do a little more. See, this is what performative means. First thing to let you guys know, this girl who is half black, who is playing Jill Valentine, who was mostly white and passed the paper bag test. They didn't even give her the paper bag test because she literally only has a tiny, tiny hint to her nose is just a little bit bigger. And then you guys said she was all black. She is not all black. She is partially black, and her skin is very light. She does not represent me, a dark-skinned black woman. She does not, and I will never claim her as my representation. You failed in that. It's performative because you're like, oh, look what we're doing. You gave Jill Valentine nothing to do except whisper, hi, how you doing? Let me whisper in your ear. I got something real nice I gotta tell your ear. Like, you literally had her sitting there whispering all the time. And she didn't do anything. She acted the best she could with what she had, and I'm 100% certain she had more lines. I know she didn't pull up for this role being the good actress she is, because I've seen her in other things, and I've seen her with straight hair. There was no reason for her to not have straight hair, but you guys had to make her have curly hair so that people would be like, oh, shut up about no black people. No black people in this movie, by the way. No black people, not even the zombies were black. No Asian people except Joga. Literally, no. This is an Asian, and this is literally, no, this was not in Japan, but this was created in Japan. So why is there no Japanese people? And then Ada, don't even get me started on Ada. I don't even know her nationality. She's just Asian, like Asian's just a monolith. But literally, she's at the end, at the Boot Scoot Boogie at the end, okay? Don't give me that. It's still nothing but white people. Oh, it's just in the shut up. You're acting like ethnic people don't exist. Ethnic people, hi, I exist. I existed in 1997, which means there had to be at least 2 black people who existed before then. At least. That's the at least. If you want to be stupid and an idiot. We can talk about at least, because I hate that word. I hate that phrase, because I do not accept the at least. We do not accept mediocrity here. But let's get back to this trash. So Leon, is played a little bit as a brute at the beginning, and he's drunk. He wakes up just to drink alcohol, and it's like, I don't understand why, because it doesn't even show that he's like a partier. That's just something that sad people do when they're sad and alcoholics. How is Leon as Kennedy an alcoholic already? He hasn't gone through anything. In fact, they make it a very big deal to let the audience know that he is cushioned by his father in the Force. And if you were going to do this cushion thing, I would have suggested and recommended that you have made Leon not Asian or ethnic, because it's like everyone's bullying him. Literally, he walks into a room and stupid Irons is like, what are you doing here? And I asked myself that too, because it's like, these are STARS members. What are you doing here? But he didn't say STARS members. He said everyone. So Leon being in there, literally, it's just literally take it out of the script. Take it out of the script. Why do I have to argue with your own script? Like, about how it doesn't make sense. Stop making me have to argue a script that shouldn't have existed. So to fix this whole movie, Leon should have been omitted completely. Completely. Honestly, he doesn't have to be here. Claire didn't have to be here either. But you know what? Since you made this movie about Claire, literally, if you would have just airbrushed Leon out, I'm sure nothing would have been different, except you would have had to reshoot killing Birkin, because the only thing that he did was kill Birkin. Literally, that's all he did with the rocket launcher. And he just came out of nowhere with it. We didn't even see him pick it up. But whatever. I guess it was in his inventory. So, literally, like I said, Leon, he was like played as a brute and an alcoholic who gets up and drinks rather than having a hangover, because that's what younger people do. Older people are the ones who get up and drink when they get out of bed, because they've got so many hardships they've dealt with in their life. And I just want to let you know, if you watch 2 movies of like with Leon in it, 2 CGI movies, and link is in the description to the reviews of those if you'd like to go see that, you'll notice that Leon was a bootlick for the most part. He's a bootlick. So I don't think that he would be so clueless before the zombies came. He was clueless before the zombies came. And that's like, I don't care that he's clueless after the zombies came, because he doesn't know anything, and he's not he shouldn't know about Umbrella. He shouldn't know about Umbrella. Just to let you know, he shouldn't. And they make it seem in this universe, there's just so many backtracking, because it's like, in this universe, you have to acknowledge what's in this universe. And what's there is Umbrella literally owns everything. They make it seem like Umbrella is like Walgreens. They act like Umbrella is like McDonald's. They act like it's a chain where everyone knows that's happened and is providing everyone food and stuff and water. And we hear that real quick. We hear it real quick. It's like, don't question. Just listen. Why are you telling us everything? Why aren't you showing us one thing? Just one thing. There were only a few places in this movie for them to be like patting themselves on the back and sucking themselves off about how well they did the opening of the Spencer Mansion and how well they made the burger look that was only on screen for 1 second. I don't think it's quite appropriate to be cheering and patting yourself on the back when there were barely any places of interest. Like, yeah, they show you, oh my goodness, that's the opening of the police station. Wow, I'm so happy. Thank you, Johanne, for putting it on big screen. I rather would have never seen it ever and just played the game. If you guys want to come in my comments and talk about, well, if you wanted the game so bad, why don't you just play the game? I wish this movie was never made. I didn't need it. In fact, I am so over Resident Evil movies that I just want a Silent Hill movie, a good Silent Hill movie with someone who actually played the games. You should not be allowed to make a movie about something if you don't know the games. You should not. Because it's only nepotism getting you there. Because if I were to pull up in Hollywood today with a script well made and everything I know about Resident Evil, about a movie, they would laugh me out of there. Or they would tell me to get on the couch and do my business so that I could just sell my stuff to someone so that someone else could take the credit. That's where we're at right now in our society. So, literally, shut up. I don't like this movie. It's trash. It's garbage. And I'm going to keep explaining to you why it's garbage. And if you don't understand after I tell you, then I don't know what to tell you. You're living on a world where I would love to live because you just think garbage is great. And if everyone thought garbage was great, everyone would be happy in this world. So I don't understand why Chief Irons and everyone is beating up on Leon the entire movie. if his dad is such a hot shot. Literally, there's this cop that comes in while they're eating at a diner, and he's like, oh, aren't you the big shot son of the big shot? Like, and then he proceeds to bully him. Like, he didn't just say that his father was a big shot. If you got a white dude in here, it would have made more sense for him to be like, my father, my father, my father. But it just doesn't make any logical sense, because here's the difference between fiction, nonfiction, science fiction, and all that, okay? So when you're making something that is literally based in reality with some hints of fiction, and another thing, this is also, Resident Evil was never one to just use magic. That's why Vendetta is really dumb, the movie. Because there was never a time where you could just magically create an antidote that would heal everyone. Literally, only certain people were healed by getting an antidote, because they're special, they were caught in time, so many things. There were so many aspects to someone getting the antidote, especially since William Birkin in the game took a whole bunch, and it just makes my brain hurt. But let's get back to this crap fest, not good stuff like the games, the crap fest. So this dude's going to bully the big shot son, and the big shot son's just going to take it. Like, okay, I see. I mean, maybe if you didn't make him a minority, maybe if you didn't make him Asian, it would have made more sense for him to be fighting back, maybe, because he's surrounded by white people and a half white person. Didn't look very good for everyone to be bullying him, just saying. It just didn't make it. It was not serving what you thought it was, Johanne. But anywho. So this plate, like I said, this jumps back and forth. We'll literally sit with people for 2 seconds, and then we'll jump back to Claire. Like, it's just two different games put together. Literally, it's two different games put together in the worst way. It's like DNA. It's switched around. It's flipping around like one of those slides that shock you as you go down. Okay? So the Spencer Mansion inside, like, this movie occurs while Leon is there, which makes no sense. And I'm so glad that he wasn't literally there, but it's still happening at the same time, and I hate that. I was hoping that Leon was not in the Spencer Mansion, and thank goodness you told that truth, the only truth you told in the trailer. Jill sounds on the spot, literally, and looks don't matter because she's whiter than Kourtney Kardashian. Literally. On a cold day with no sun, this woman has no skin tone. She is the absence of skin tone. You guys are only upset because her hair kinky, which could have been easily changed. Easily. It was an easy fix. It's not as difficult to fix than eye color, but it was not fixed. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care that her hair is kinky. Maybe it's just humid. And her nose a little big, but guess what? If you notice, Jill's nose gets a bit bulbous as we get into 5 for some reason. I don't know why y'all did that with her nose, but it's just interesting. So Revelations 1, I suggest you go to my video talking about that. Link is in the description. Her nose is bulbous, just like it's bulbous in Resident Evil 5, because they used very similar assets to make that game. And I don't really care that the nose is a little more bulbous than it was in 1. Because the remake of 1 makes her nose bulbous. She had a hat on most of the time, so we didn't get to see her hair. It's pretty interesting. I already told you the reason why her hair was kinky is so that Johanne could bank on black people watching this movie when that she's not black. She's not black. She is biracial. She's half white. Y'all know who y'all know who to get. Y'all know what textures, y'all know what phenotypes draw the black people in, but you don't know the phenotypes and the skin tone and hair textures to use when we actually want real black people for real roles. You be calling up Thadwe, you be calling up Zendaya, you be calling up these biracial people to represent a dark-skinned me, and that's just not gonna fly anymore. So a woman says her eye's been bleeding for a couple weeks, and I'm just like, what on earth? Fix it. Leon says the same thing. Like, people make it seem like Leon's like trash, but in reality, he's literally just all of us. We don't know what's going on here. We don't want to be here, and we're getting bullied by literally a piece of art that's not art. This trash, this movie, I guess you can call it art. I mean, if you were to crap on a piece of paper and then stick it up on the wall, maybe that would be considered art too. But I don't know. It was just weird. Stuff like that, like this woman having a bleeding eye. Did we really need that scene? Is she a part of the games? Does everything have to be? Yes, when you bank on all of the people who played the games to watch your movie, yes, everything does have to be very similar. This isn't even close. So why are you arguing with me about similarities? This isn't close. It shouldn't have been called Resident Evil. It should have been called not Resident Evil. This isn't Resident Evil. Stop arguing with me about accuracies and inaccuracies. It's all inaccurate. All of it. The timeline is a bit wonky, so I'm unaware or unsure when everything starts to happen or ends. They just start giving us time, like 1 a.m., whatnot, and stuff. Like, okay, let me tell you, let me explain something to you real quick. So in the games, yes, there was text on the freaking, you're playing a video game. There's text so you can read it. Because we don't need to know what buttons to press in a movie. So you cannot say, oh, well, you wanted it to be just like the games. I didn't want to be put in first person. That was gross. When I saw Chris be in first person, I was just like, what am I watching? What am I watching? I literally could have played the games, and it's not even in first person. The games that they have in here were never first person, but okay. Maybe some mod that someone made, but not the real deal, okay? Why do we have like text on the screen every 2 seconds telling us what's going on? If you knew that this stuff didn't make sense without the text, then you should have altered it. You should have halted this. You should have halted it. You should have stopped it before it got out to the public. Why'd you push this movie out and then you missed Halloween? You might, if you weren't going to save it for this Halloween or last Halloween, it should have been this Halloween. There was no reason for you. Like, literally, the only movie you would have had to fight was the crap Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis was in there. This was the absolute worst Halloween movie ever. I'm so done. Y'all need to literally, I have ideas. I have story after story. I just need the money. I need to feed my family. Hollywood, if you're listening, the old Hollywood deities, I'm so ready to get this going. Y'all need to stop taking people's namesakes like Resident Evil and banking on the people who like the games to spend our money on something that's not guaranteed to be accurate. Darn anybody's skin tone or kinky hair, okay? Get over it. The people who are white and who are playing white people were bad. Bad. Terrible. It doesn't matter what skin tone or how their hair is. Even if everyone was literally... Okay. If everyone was white mom, white grandma, white whole family, used to own slaves a long time ago, literally, it would have still been bad. Everything was bad about this movie. So stop. Stop trying to gaslight people and say, oh, if you didn't like it, don't take away from... I'm going to take it away because it's bad. You keep saying how good it is, they're just going to make it part 2. And I do not want them to mess with Code Veronica. Leave Code Veronica alone. I'd rather Code Veronica die as a game than live again as a movie that's trash. I'm sure you'll make the Ashford twins related to Claire and Chris. How about that? Like, everyone's going to be twins. Like twinsies, double twinsies, they're all related, right? Cool. Wow. Thank you. So I hate that Claire couldn't just come alone. Why did we need to see that truck driver dude? Why? Could have been omitted, and the dog could have been introduced at the Spencer Mansion like it was before. And another thing, we get to see the zombie dog inside the freaking car the parking garage where Ada should have been, but it was just Chief Irons. Why did we have to see Chief Irons leave and come back? That was just worthless. The only thing we got to see from that situation is that they're not letting people leave Raccoon City, which we could have saw from a little side. We didn't have to follow every single person to every single location. Notice how I still don't care, even though it's people that are of the main cast that we were following. Notice how I still do not care. What I can say is the music is better suited for Resident Evil than the Alice version, which the music was awesome and rock. It wasn't Resident Evil appropriate. But we see Claire doodling about, and she sees busted up people who are no doubt being experimented on. She breaks into somebody's house. It's too dark, and I don't understand. I don't understand the gist of this movie, so I'm just going to spoil it for you to the end. William Birkin supposedly was the one in charge of the orphanage. There wasn't even a head honcho. There was this woman that's kind of like Miss Ratchet who's watching Golden Girls, who you thought that was cute. You thought it was cute to have Golden Girls up in there. I'm not laughing. I'm not giggling. I'm not kikiing. I don't care. So anyway, William Birkin is supposedly the one who raised Claire and Chris in the orphanage. They were going to take Claire and do the same thing they were going to do just like they did with Lisa Trevor, and she ran away. William Birkin admits to doing this when he's chasing down Chris, which I don't understand how he knew where Chris was, because he never saw Chris until like later. How does he know that does he have superpowers now to where he can see you age up? He only saw her as a child, but he saw her as an adult and knew exactly who she was. That makes no sense. Anyway, Chris and Claire were in the orphanage. Claire ran away, right? So explain to me how Chris had no issues. Like, she didn't tell him when they got older, hey, get out of there. Get out of that town. They're doing this, that, and the other. And he would probably be reluctant to listen because for some reason they make Chris the most unlikable character in this movie. He's very unlikable. He treats Claire like garbage. And if you've seen 1, 2, they were not in the game together, okay? What I can tell you is that they're siblings, and when one is not in their party, they are still talking very fondly of each other. No matter what happened, if they were in an orphanage in the games, I don't recall that ever existing. I don't recall that ever being a thing. We can say that that's true, right? We can just say that that's true. What's not true is Chris ever cursing Claire out or being mean to her. That is something that has never occurred, no matter what has happened in the games. The first game and the last game they were in together was Code Veronica, which you guys feel very reluctant to remake before Resident Evil 4, which why? I just want to let you guys know that Code Veronica happened before Resident Evil 4, which means chronologically it should literally occur before. The remake should occur before. Not even that. Look at the graphics. I can play Resident Evil 4 without feeling like I'm going to throw up. Resident Evil Code Veronica looks like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, which all got remakes. Code Veronica's a little bit better than those, but it's got the same gist. The only reason why it looks better is because it was on a different whole system, okay? I'm getting angry because I'm just like, why is Chris such a douchebag to Claire? Oh, you left me. You're the big brother. Why didn't you go try to find your sister? You're just a bootleg. And that's crazy because Chris is not a bootleg for the police. The moment he realized the police were horrible, he stopped supporting them. That's what Chris is. Chris is not the not hero that Resident Evil 7 showed that imposter to be. Chris is very much so a hero. He's very much so self-righteous, and that's why him and Albert Wesker did not like each other. But in this movie, they're buddy-buddy, and they were never really buddy-buddy to begin with. He was his superior. It was a very respectable relationship. Jill, thank goodness they cut out all the, when they heard that we weren't having the Jill and Wesker, the Jill-Sker situation, they cut out all of their scenes. Basically, I noticed there were a lot of cuts because the only time they even talked about anybody, like they literally had to have other people talk about how they were in a relationship. Claire was like, "Oh, it's never gonna happen, bro." She's mean to Chris too. Like, these lines are so cheesy. Stop teasing us. Stop teasing us. Literally. By Resident Evil 6, Jill and Chris are married. So does that still happen in this universe, or did you just not know that? And like I said, Resident Evil 6 is so poor. It's so disgusting because they omit Jill and Claire and Rebecca for some reason in exchange for Pierce who, Helena who. Like, no one cares about these people except the people who care about them, who are the people who never played Resident Evil until it was nothing but an action-packed game. And people like, oh, when you shoot a gun, it's action. Did I say it wasn't action, or did I say there was too much action when I talked about that in my other previous videos? So before you start getting upset and start talking about how people don't know what action is, maybe, just maybe, you need to take a gander at the first 3 installments of Resident Evil and look at the last 3 installments and tell me which one looks more like Call of Duty, which one plays more like Call of Duty, which one literally is just Call of Duty. Thank you. Anyway, Claire talks about Chris's chest hair, so I'm like, what on earth? Like, what type of, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? Can you stop? Is there any way that we can just end this movie now? I was getting ready to turn it off. Chris' lines sound like that was the first try, and they were like, all right, good, we got to keep going. We got to keep going, guys. Chris looks he's the only one that looks like Chris in Resident Evil 1, but it doesn't really matter because it's so dark I can't see him. He could have been Asian and it would have been fine. Claire is the one who thinks there's something wrong with Raccoon City, which is Jill's arc mostly and Chris's arc secondarily, but go off. There's this rat dude, I forgot his name because I don't care. He's supposed to be the foil to the guy that was in the freaking prison in Resident Evil 2 when Leon was down there. He's like, what's going on? But he's like on a tape talking about Umbrella. He's like, I don't care about this dude. Like, why are you giving me, like, you're literally just spitting everything at me without showing me anything. Show, don't tell. Mostly this movie is tell, don't show nothing. Be blind by light or be blind by darkness. That's all this movie is. For anyone to say this was a great movie made, the way it was made was bad. The way it was made was bad. You can't like it for just being a movie. It's impossible. It was poorly executed. This is not a good Resident Evil movie either. Stop talking about how better it is without Alice. You just are sexist and you can't stand that Alice was the main character. I can't stand that Alice was the main character, but the funny thing about that is I'm not sexist. I don't let it blind me. They're both bad. How about that? Oh, would you rather? I would rather not see anything because I have the choice to not. No one is forcing me to watch these movies. I can never watch them ever again. I don't have to say one's better than the other. They're both bad. The only thing I can say about Claire's actress is she knew the assignment. She understood the assignment. She does not look like Claire, but she does a better job than Chris. Chris looks like Chris, but he had the flattest line delivery than everyone. Then we see the Birkins, who look nothing like their game counterparts. Like, if you're going to forsake looks, you might as well make them all non-white. It's already inaccurate. Putting someone white in a white role does not make that character, literally. I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's really getting annoying to say. But it's annoying to see, too. So, we hear that horn, like, alarm thing that I don't recall hearing in the games, but I do recall hearing them in the Alice movie, which is kind of interesting because there's a lot of things that took place in this movie that were very similar to the Alice movie. And I'm just like, did y'all not know that Paul, whatever Anderson, his name, I don't care, was executive producer of this movie? Did you guys know that? For all who didn't know that, you guys can play games. You're like, oh, executive producers don't do this, that, and the other. Executive producers can do whatever they want with the movie. If he wanted a mustache on Claire, he could have said, mustache on Claire. Stop trying to downplay what he did with this movie, because you don't want to face it that these movies are both touched by Paul, stupid idiot Anderson. Like I said, Chris is treating Claire like trash because she went about her business. Literally, he's hostile for no reason. They're like similar ages, and neither of them had any requirement to stay in each other's lives, but the big brother gonna complain that the little sister wasn't there for him, like, wah, cry about it, literally. And he does this a lot throughout the movie. It's almost unbearable. Y'all think that Leon being clueless the whole time was unbearable? It was unbearable to see Chris and Claire go at it. Not even like a sibling rivalry. Two people that hate each other. It's sick. Then we get the itchy tasty out of context, like literally makes no sense here. That line came from an excerpt from a survivor who recounted his transformation in Resident Evil 1 before he ate his friend. Itchy tasty on the wall, made by some girl that has her hair all fallen out, does not make me feel the exact same way. It's not a callback. It's not anything. It's literally trash. It's like if in The Matrix, I haven't seen The Matrix at all, so I don't know this new Matrix Reloaded. Maybe this did happen because a lot of people hate it, but like it's just like having... Remember in The Matrix when that person was like, oh, if things are real, then things aren't real. And they had like a coin or something metal and then there was like spinning it around or something. It's like if there was just a big old huge spoon in the air, just spinning around for no reason. And they're like, oh, call back. I think you need to go back to the drawing board because this is gross. So the zombies aren't like in the game. They're like not mindless, which is strange because... the G virus killed, then reanimated. The only person who had control, complete control, was Albert Wesker. And it wasn't G that he was affected with. It was T. But I think it's interesting because they just put them together. They put them together. They only talk about it once. And another thing, William Birkin didn't even say G. He didn't even say my G. He didn't even say I love G. Oh my goodness, GG. Like, he didn't say it at all. He just said my life's work once before he died. They're going to take my life's work. What's your life's work, dude? Should have showed us. Don't tell us. Don't speak your words. Don't speak. Because if I ask you, you will answer. Don't speak. Show us what your life's work is. It's just some vials. Why do we care about vials? That's how I know this movie was banking on everyone watching who played the games, which is interesting because y'all love to talk about and cape for them and say, oh, it's not like the games. If you didn't like the games, if you don't want the games, then don't. That's real interesting because if they wanted my money, then maybe they should have appealed more to me instead of making it seem like they were making this for another audience when they weren't, because they didn't explain stuff that people are going to be confused about, and they explained too much of stuff that you could have just showed us. Claire takes Chris's bike, which she should have had and not have been in that truck, literally. She was only on a bike once, and it wasn't even, had nothing. She wasn't at the gas station. She didn't meet Leon that way. That bike was literally just there for no reason. That truck scene should not exist. Jan and Neptune are referenced by Jill. Like, reference, that's it. Would you rather be swallowed by a snake or eaten by a shark? That's what she sounded like because she was whispering a lot. But I don't know why. Like I said, I liked her voice, but it was just, I'm going to make fun because it's whispering. She's whispering. She's like Billie Eilish singing, honestly. The Stars banter is trash. Dude from Gotham is Chief Irons. He's not even Chief Irons. He's playing the dude from Gotham. And this is my favorite part because the only thing I could get enjoyment from this movie was when Chief Irons drags Leon out of the room. Oh my goodness, yes, Queen, drag him. He was like, what are you doing here, Leon? No one cares about you, Leon. You piece of garbage. Leon hates you, Leon. Leon, you piece of trash. And what makes this just makes no sense is the fact that he is the son of some big shot. If he's such a big shot, how is he not being kiss his bum cheeks, kiss him? He is the son of some big shot. How is everyone able to bully him like this? How? That's not how nepotism works. You know how I know that, Johannes? Because you had to have gotten this whole gig from nepotism. Because you don't know nothing a lick about Resident Evil. Who did you have to prove to get funding for this? Or did you just get it from your $1 billion estate home, your mom and dad who worked in the industry? Regardless, either way, it's nepotism. You came out of nowhere. Who are you? I don't know anything you've ever done other than this. We get an early hint that Wesker is not with his group, as he has like this beeper looking thing that kind of looks like a miniature Etch-a-Sketch or something. Like an old calculator. And it's like, oh, get out of here. Everything's going to be blown up. It's like, thanks for showing us and telling us at the same time. It's a real breath of fresh air, since everything is just literally spoken to us. Word of mouth. Everything is literally, they think we're dumb. They think we're dumb and we can't get something from something else. They have to directly tell us. That could have been omitted and everything would have been the same. It just makes it look even more stupid, literally. I can't even get through this. It's so annoying. William Birkin finally talks about his life's work. He sees Claire somehow and recognizes her despite only seeing her as a child. Interesting. And people are going to be like, oh, well, Umbrella has seen her and they have a, like, where was her? I don't know. Like, honestly, you could keep trying to save them. But every question I have about this movie is not backed up with any solution that you could have gotten while watching the movie. Of course, you can add the little pieces at the end, but those questions were never answered by the movie. It's your inference giving me that answer. It's your input. You are putting more effort into solving these problems than Johanne has cared to even do. So, what do you feel like? Do you feel stupid? Do you feel like an idiot having done that for free in my comment section? How do you feel? Because Johannes, I don't know how much money this freaking crap made, but he made something. He did something. Because regardless, if he didn't make money, he made a movie. I would love to make a movie. I would love to make movies. I would love to make every video game I've ever played, from Skyrim to Resident Evil to Silent Hill, everything, into a movie. I actually have that ambition. I actually have the ideas. I just don't have the nepotism. I don't have the family that I can fall back on if my movie fails and flunks and everyone hates it. I don't have the funding to make my own movie, but Johannes did, and he doesn't even care to answer any of these questions inside the movie he made. He's relying on people who are bootlicks of Capcom, and anything that is associated with them, they will literally, oh, this is good, this is fine, this is good, oh, you just didn't, oh, don't let people ruin your experience. Like, you ruined my experience. Existing and literally accepting anything that Capcom makes, anything that is Resident Evil related. You hurt my brain. We learned in the night Claire was snatched away by Birkin while manning the orphanage or whatever, and somehow, like I said, each scene is cut up into pieces. Like, literally, it's like Johannes directed the movie and then gave all these small tiny clips to someone, and they had 1 week to put all those clips into a movie. It's like none of these clips go together as a movie. They don't flow, and that's why they have to break it up with words on the screen constantly. 2 a.m. This is where we're at. They didn't even do like in Resident Evil Alice edition and like make it to where it was typed at the same time. That gives it more of a, okay, this is where we're at. They just blinked it on the screen. It's all there. It's not even in type form. What was cool about that was it was an homage to the typewriter. It was not the typewriter, but it was an homage. That I'm starting to see better things in the Alice movies than in this movie. Maybe the Alice movies were better. All of them put together in one stupid Alice smoothie. Literally. Anyway. Somehow the truck driver passes Claire again when he should have been going out of town. He was driving through town. How did they end up in the same place again? He was driving through town. I can't. Okay, whatever. Leon sits in the central place of Resident Evil 2 and sleeps, which is hilarious. And I'm not mad. He needs to get some rest after that drag, boy. And the truck driver burns up and the entrance and whatnot. And Leon misses it because he was listening to music. Like, literally, I bet it cost more money to get the rights to the music that you played in this stupid movie than actually even putting anything into it. Literally. Could have omitted that music. Could have just been regular, like, elevator music. You didn't really have to spend all that money. But you know what? It didn't even make the movie better. And the truck driver or some person, because I have no idea, there's no distinction between him and anybody else, is on fire. And he walks very casually, not like a zombie. And it's hilarious because the music's like... It's like... He's walking very casually towards Leon, who is saved by Chief Irons, which already makes him better than Chief Irons in the game, which is not a good thing. It's not a good thing because he was not a good guy. This already absolves him of him dragging Leon. He just saved his life. That's the only thing you can do once you drag someone. The only thing you can do to placate the dragging gods, you must save their life. And Chief Irons did that, so Leon is literally clueless, and that's a great thing because he doesn't know anything about Umbrella. So for the people complaining that he wasn't doing roundhouse kicks the moment he appeared on screen, I suggest you shut up and go to Mars with Elon Musk because I don't care about you. You need to stop. It's getting annoying and it's getting weird. If you love Leon so much, go find the guy who played Leon and propose to him and marry him. Literally. Or just get a cutout of him. Either way. Chief Iron packs up and promotes Leon. I don't know why he promotes Leon as leader, but he leaves. And like I said, he goes to the exit of the city and someone that looks like Hunk or something, that's not Hunk. He's not Hunk, but he was like an homage to Hunk. Shoots everybody, and he just has to drive back with his tail between his legs because he thought he was going to get out of here and leave everyone behind. And no, that doesn't make him a villain. That makes him want to preserve his life. This man is a great actor, but if he actually played the games or actually knew who Chief Irons was before he took the role, maybe he'd be able to apply more of his attributes to the character. Because this dude from Gotham is literally just the dude from Gotham who was Gordon's partner, then his boss. This is the character he is playing. He is not playing Chief Irons. He is playing the dude from Gotham. I'm letting you know now. So, it still does time skipping, and we're in a chaba over the forest looking for Team Bravo, which we never see. We never see Team Bravo. We just assume they all died. Yeah. So, Rebecca could have been here. Barry could have been here. But we live in a universe where they died. Off screen. So, it's still doing this time skipping, moving back and forth type thing. So, in the chopper over the forest looking for Team Bravo, like, I don't understand why they did that. Why they even have Team Bravo in this if they were just going to be a plot device to get them there. In the games, like I said, Team Bravo was there. There was no reason to omit them. Oh, you got to cut stuff for a movie, then make multiple movies. I don't know what to tell you. How about you not put so many games in one movie? How about that? How about gosh darn that, huh? How about that? Isn't that easy? This movie is just a slap in Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 3's face. literally like a slap directly in the balls, and disrespects the legacy by omitting Rebecca and downplaying Jill's significance for no reason other than to tick me off. They find a turned over car out in the woods, so that just means they're dead. Yeah. And this is when they could have found those dogs and omit the truck driver scene entirely. But they find zombie birds instead, and the truck driver scene, and the comical walking flame dude is still here. So isn't that great? Isn't that what we needed? So it's still way too dark, and we get to the ye old Spencer mansion that's treated like a legend of some sort. Like it wasn't thought of to be a real place until they entered it and saw it for themselves. I'm just so thankful and grateful to everyone on Earth that Leon is not here, because it wouldn't have been accurate for him to be here. Still inaccurate, but it would have been even more inaccurate. By the way, I'm not gonna literally suck you up and tell you good job for recreating the entrance of Spencer Mansion when everything else around it is trash. I'm not. It's like, good job, you know what one out of the many places you omitted in this game are. Like, I'm not going to give you a cookie for that when you're wasting my time. Wesker tells them to Scooby-Doo split up. Let's split up, gang. Jill goes with Wesker, leaving Chris' jaw on the floor. The movie moves slow, and people who aren't anticipating stuff because they're fans of the games and hoping for an accurate depiction of this world would just turn off the movie, because there's nothing to hope for if you're not a fan. And there's nothing that literally pays off for being a fan of this game. It's literally just garbage. It's literally just some things here, some things there, literally. So Umbrella starts umbrellaing and killing people and stuff. Like I said, Chief Irons gets stuck at a checkpoint and whatnot. So the zombies are speaking, which makes no sense at this point because this isn't Las Plagas or Uroboros. We don't do that here yet, okay? Like I said, Chief Irons gets stuck at a checkpoint where Umbrella kills people trying to leave. So he has to come back inside the parking garage, which was only a place of peak interest because Ada and Mr. X and the remake and whatnot. So why is it still here? They looked at the remake and was like, yeah, that's the good depiction, when a lot of people were like, yeah, it was a good game, but it was not the same as the original. It didn't even flow the same way. When you did the side A and side B, it was literally two different scenarios with the same things going on. So if literally Claire took a crap inside the bathroom and left it in the toilet seat, side B, you would see the crap in the toilet seat. Now, in the remake, side A, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter because you're still doing the same motions. That's the problem with the remake. Okay? So, the dog is up here. The dog is up in here. So where is Ada? Where's Mr. X? What trash? The dog looks like trash too. Claire saves Chief Irons and meets Leon inside the parking garage. Like, what on earth is this movie? Like, how is that cool? These are like the best people of the entire game, and they meet next to Chief Irons. Are you serious? Chief Irons is really mean to Leon for like no reason. It's a bit annoying, not because he's mean to Leon, but like just because it's just no reason. It comes out of nowhere. He's hostile for no reason. It's not like he took somebody's job that was better. It's not like anything. And another thing, if he did, the implications of that aren't so good when you make the only people on the cast with any color the one that everybody bullies. I already told you this. So literally, we learned that Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 are happening simultaneously at this point, which was the worst thing they could have ever done, because this makes Resident Evil 3 impossible to make in this universe. Scenes are divided by timestamps, like I said, and it's really jarring to keep bouncing back and forth in that way. It takes you out of the danger, and I just feel this like not even being here anymore and becoming a slice of bread I just want to be a slice of bread so I don't have to endure this anymore. And they recreate the zombie eating and turning slowly, which I could care less about. The zombie looks bad and fake, and the non-zombie bitten guy on the floor looks more believable as a victim with his freaking blood coming out of his neck than the zombie who was eating him. Zombie looks like Party City garbage. Party City garbage, it was not good. Anyone who says it's good, you blind. Y'all are such liars. Oh my gosh. Literally. I'm eating bread, by the way. Chris tries to help a dude bleeding to death like an idiot rather than scoping the scene for more zombies. That man is clearly already in heaven, so... The zombie sits around like he's waiting for a cutscene to be over, and I'm just like, why can't we have good video game adaptations? Literally, this is not faithful. Like, potato sacks anyone who says so. Tomato, boo. Everything is too dark to see, and when it's not too dark, you're blinded by flashing lights. I feel like I'm The Weeknd, honestly. When we hear the non-blonde song from the trailer while some dude dies, literally, I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm so done. Jill and Percival literally are a part of like the worst scene of the movie, where Not My Wesker, aka Dickon, plays Moonlight Santana, or whatever it's called, and it's like, for a second, literally, if you blink, you will miss it. It was super quick, not even worth watching the movie. They faked out their deaths, and we returned to Claire and Leon like I cared about them anyway. Leon fumbles and tumbles around because he's new. I literally understand why he would be fumbling and tumbling around. Claire's a bad A, which everyone complains about, but they don't complain when Leon does stuff too big for his britches in other CG movies. Literally, just because he was in training for how many years makes him like Iron Man and makes him like Ninja Turtle, literally everything. Get out of here. Shut up. Now we're at this cell where the rat dude is sitting, and he's literally like a bad actor. He's a bad actor. It's terrible. I was hoping Mr. X would come in and choke hold him, but he doesn't. Everyone drags Leon, even this side rat dude, and I'm kind of like happy about it because I feel like they're talking specifically to Leon stans. And the funniest thing about the movie where people were upset is the fact that his gun was taken from him. When if that happened to little old Claire, y'all would be like sitting there like, this is fine. It's literally just sexism at its worst because I just don't want to see it. Oh, well, shut up. Okay, then let's be in the same situation. Whoever wants to do this, let's be in the same situation, and then I'll try to take your gun from you, because you would be just like a rookie, not having this is your first day on the job, literally. You expect him to like have super like cat-like reflexes. I don't understand why you're mad that his gun was taken away from a rookie. What I don't like is everything about this movie. I don't specifically not like that scene. I just hate everything about this movie, and I'm going to keep telling you why. And then this is when this rat dude, literally useless nothing guy, like exposits about both the T and G viruses like they're the exact same thing, when they're literally different games, different viruses, different situations, which literally made me throw up in my mouth. Another example of this movie telling us and not showing us. That guy literally just was there just to let us know about that so he could get eaten by a zombie inside the cell. The music was kind of cool. And then Claire saves Leon, which no one would have been upset if the roles were reversed. So shut up or take time machine back to wherever the freaking time where I give a crap, okay? Go to a different timeline and leave me alone here, okay? Leon uses all his ammo on a single zombie, like, okay. Dickon and Jill speak, and Not My Wesker literally sounds like he's trying to hide a Scottish accent the whole time. It's very jarring and annoying. There's a lot of telling and not showing us in this scene as well. Like, how many times are y'all gonna do that? Literally every scene. It's like the person who made this movie has no idea what a movie is or how to make it. It's almost as if nepotism took over and this guy isn't really qualified for the job. He just got the role because he knows people in high places. That's what it seems like to me. So there's nothing but white people as zombies, and they're at the gates trying to get into whatever building, yada yada. I don't care anymore. The streets of Raccoon City look like COVID and everyone's in quarantine. They go back to the orphanage. It's so annoying. The only people who survived are the people that we see. We don't even get to see survivors on the side. Like, they don't even show us any side characters. And the only people that are side characters are just there to literally just tell us stuff and die. We see Lisa Trevor, which was horribly done. I'm so disappointed. I am not satisfied with this Lisa Trevor look. She's not scary in the slightest, nor creepy in any way. She looks like Party City trash. I hate it. We see the singular liquor for the 9th time. There are no freaking, literally, what's-her-face has a dream. She's like, oh, I had a dream about, Sherry was like, oh, I had a dream about this thing on his eyes. And it's like, oh, that's scary. Ha, ha, ha. She's referring to the hunters. Just, if no one caught that, she's referring to the hunters that they did not put in this movie. How come there are no hunters? If you're going to put 1 and 2 together, how come there's no hunters? There's, like, why? I love the liquors. The liquors are actually the best part of Resident Evil. But you know what? There were no Crimson Heads. There were no hunters. And I'm tired of seeing liquors and the dogs. Those are your cheap go-to craps. Enough. How about I challenge you to not use a liquor ever again in a Resident Evil movie? There are other creatures. There are moths that literally put stuff in your back. There are literally frogs. There's yawn. There are literally dozens of things, not to include that stupid bird that literally looked disgusting and I didn't care about. The lickers are blind, but we don't even get to come to that conclusion or revelation because they're screaming and running around. Lisa Trevor handles that liquor like nobody's business, which was cool, but literally makes no sense for her to be here. How is this accurate? How is this faithful? How is this a faithful adaptation? What do you guys mean when you say that? Why are you just lying? What does faithful mean to you? I hope you don't carry that same weight for faith in your marriage or life in general, because I wouldn't trust you with a wooden spoon. Like, what do you mean any of this is faithful? Don't give me that all they could have done bullcrap. Piece of garbage movie. So Lisa's picked up in their party for like 2 seconds. And then she leaves. She's like, oh, Claire. Like, she never met Claire. She never met Claire, but whatever. Chris is alone in the Spencer mansion. Like, I could care less. I know no one is dying. North is faithful, so I have no interest or care. Like, I can't see anything either. I'm literally either blinded by somebody's flashing bullets, flashlights, or blinded by the darkness. Pick your eye poison. I hate the editing. Like, I hate it. For a second, they make it first person, and they reference Chris's flip lighter from Code Veronica. Does that reference add anything to the movie of substance? I ask of you. Jill tells Chris Wesker betrayed them, but I didn't see any big betrayal. He literally just said he wanted to leave, which was the goal in the game. Yeah, they needed to find everyone, but they found everyone who was alive, so they could have left by now. Claire and Leon oogie boogie on down to the basement where they find old tapes or whatever of the Ashford twins, which makes zero logical sense, and I'll explain. So William and Alexia have a one-way rivalry going on because Alexia knows she's better than him, and he's like, oh my goodness, why can't I do this? Da, da, da. She's like, ha, ha, ha. And literally, along with her biologically engineered brother, they were never known about by the outside world, outside of Rockford Island and all that. They were never known about. So in no way is this logical, is this faithful? Why would this be here specifically? How did Claire know to come down here? Birkin told no one. Wesker didn't even know what was going on until he came to Rockford Island and all that. Maybe you guys should play Resident Evil Code Veronica, since you're so confused about what's going on. If you don't want to play Resident Evil Code Veronica, because I know it looks like crap, it looks way worse than Resident Evil 4, but for some reason they think they're going to make bank on it, and I promise you, I'm letting you know right now, the moment it comes out, I'm going to play Resident Evil 4, the regular one, original, in retaliation. I'm not buying that crap. I'm not going to buy a remake that doesn't need a remake. It's just like remaking 7. You just made 7. Resident Evil 4 was created sooner than Resident Evil Code Veronica. I don't care if it doesn't have a numeral next to it. I don't care. It comes first. You can watch my playthrough of Resident Evil Code Veronica. Link is in the description. None of this makes sense. Alexia was put in a catatonic state, sleep, lunar sleep, like freaking Odin. Like, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Claire has a breakdown in the basement while Leon just sits there with no connection to her because y'all didn't take the time to flesh out their characters together in a single movie before putting them in this mix mash trash pile of turd water. So he just is like, it's okay, when he doesn't know her. She's like doing the best she can to get her Academy Award for her acting, and he's literally just sitting there having nothing to contribute to her sadness. So Birkin becomes some like mad scientist freak while they sideline his wife to be a crying, wailing widow clutching her child in the corner. When Annette was a real one, boy, Annette was Wyatt Earping shooting people. Annette didn't care about her daughter. Annette would have threw that girl and ran off. But y'all don't know Annette like I know Annette. Literally didn't care if her daughter died. Like I said, she just wanted to take G down. She wanted to do her research. She wanted everything but to take care of her child until she died. But literally, she shot Leon up. So this is not faithful. I don't know what you think faithful means. I think you think faithful means something incorrect. And I suggest you go to Merriam-Webster, like crack open a book, look up the definition of faithful adaptation. Because that was like the one thing that everybody kept saying a lot. Like, oh, this is so faithful. This is so faithful. This is so faithful. What is faith to you? Because I don't trust you anymore. I hope you don't work at any establishment. Because with that mindset, you could do a lot of damage to our society. So Not My Wesker shoots Birkin and then shoots him. Literally was going to shoot a little girl if it wasn't for Jill. I cannot believe that. I cannot. He's like, I wasn't going to shoot you, kid. What? I can't believe that they made him say that. If he's going to be a bad guy, make him be a bad guy. Like I said, when I said that Tom Hopper was being set up to fail, he was being set up to fail, because making Wesker someone that you can look at and be like, oh, poor thing, just goes against what Wesker was. It just goes against what Wesker was. I don't understand how you could call something faithful when it's just not. It just literally isn't. So William got a chance to snort that good old G and has like Form 0. There's like no eye in his chest. I don't understand. Well, not necessarily his chest, his shoulder. But literally, I don't understand this form. He's still talking and whatnot. Like he talked, but it was like very like strange, very grogged out speech. It wasn't like he was having a conversation. Like, hey, how's your day? Like, weirdos. Y'all are weird. This is strange. And here's another thing that I don't understand. Like, he saw Wesker. He saw Claire. He saw Jill. But how on earth did he know that Chris was there? I literally looked back and I didn't see where he saw him there when he started talking to him. I was like, what are you doing? Literally, the CGI is terrible. It's noticeable. William's performance is unbelievable. It's not unbelievable as in, oh my goodness, it's so great. It's unbelievable as in, I don't believe it. I don't believe he is William Birkin. He monologues to Chris long enough for Claire to save him, and everyone was hoping it was Leon so that Leon had something to do. But nope, his time is not yet. His time to shine is not yet. I know y'all want him to be Captain America, Superman, and the Flash all at once, but go watch every other CG movie if you want that. Honestly, Degeneration, Darnation, Vendetta, he's just like that in there. So complain to someone else. Leon, Claire, and Chris are all in one room without Rebecca or Barry. Literally ruins my time here. It's not faithful without at least one of them. Literally, it's not faithful without both of them. But without one of them, are you serious? I can't. We go blind again as lights too bright from the darkness. They leave in the train, like skipping 10 chapters, going right to the last one. Just full sprint. Sherry's just sitting there like, da-da-da-da-da, my parents just died, everything's okay. And yes, she did that at the end of the remake. But that was after everything bad happened and everybody was screaming. She kind of just sits there and it's just like a plot device to get them from point A to point B. She's not even a plot device. She's not even strong enough to be a plot device. She's literally just an NPC that survives. I don't understand. Leon plays conductor until the train stalls, and we all know why. I mean, at least all the real Resident Evil fans know why. William Birkin literally jumps like 3 or 4 forms, and G is controlling his body. But we don't really know what G is, so it doesn't really matter. Also, Leon comes in with a rocket launcher and blinds us for the 9th time right before we return to the darkness. And somehow that rocket launcher doesn't knock everyone back or kill everyone. Like, it's in a small space. The space gets bigger as we see, because they had to make it bigger to our eyes because it didn't make any logical sense. And zombies don't make logical sense. Resident Evil has always been about explaining things with science, not magic. So shut up. And somehow after that, Jill just pops on the scene. Where were they? I don't understand what this is. Yes, the stuff's connected to everything, but how is Jill here when they were moving? How long were they moving in the train? Where's the train at? How did they get to some place where Jill could have popped on the train? Why wasn't she there before they moved? I don't know. There's just so many questions that you cannot answer. You cannot answer. If you do answer, you made inferences. You didn't get that information from the movie. You made inferences. And how many times are you going to say, how many times are you going to argue with me until you just say, you know what, you're right. This movie doesn't make any sense and it's illogical and it's garbage and it's not faithful. When are you just going to admit that? Stop making excuses for Johannes. He failed. This is a failure. Literally, the screen feels the need to tell us everything we would already know had we been watching this movie the entire time. And then the movie ends very abruptly. It's like, okay, this is what happened. No conclusion, no anything. Like, that's it. That's the end of the movie. Literally, abruptly. It's crazy. Out of nowhere. There's no final frontier. There's no final act. The final act felt like the climax of the movie where there's no drop off. Literally, this is what happens when you cut so much out and add so much that's not necessary. This is what happens when you dedicate all your time to making the burger look like the same burger in a remake and not the original, and making one place that we're not even in for any amount of time to matter. Like, they didn't even go on the stairs. That's how I know it's just CGI. That crap was just CGI. Oh, they remade the front. I don't care. Oh, it's practical. I don't care. Does it matter? Did it look practical? It didn't look practical. It looked fake to me. No one interacted with anything. Literally. This is a piece of garbage movie. And then there's a cutscene where Wesker's in a body bag and literally Ada Wong has become the big boss kahuna and gives him his glasses. I was like, I can't see. It's like, it's a side effect. Yeah. What on earth? He did all this on his own. He didn't need Ada Wong to hold his hand and tell him what to do. She was not above him. She was actually below him. And then she got better and all that. What is the deal? Did you just want to make incels upset at people? Did you just want to make incels upset? Did you want to make me upset for literally not having any accurate depictions at all? Why was Ada even in here? Not faithful. Literally. We never see him take the virus, so I don't understand how he's alive. They make it seem like everybody in Raccoon City has been injected with stuff. That's what they kind of tell us. And literally, he got shot. I don't understand. I just don't get it. Ada literally standing over him. Now, like I said, she's the big kahuna, which makes no sense. No. And then he's just sitting on the ground naked. It's crazy. That was the end of this horrible, awful, not faithful adaptation. Johannes, you failed. It wasn't the Asian Leon you hired or the barely black Jill Valentine. It was mostly the trash Wesker, the bad storytelling, the awful editing, the terrible promotion. Johannes is to blame. No one else. Not Jogega or whatever his name is. Not the partially black Jill Valentine that was whispering the whole time. It was him. All him. Literally gave us this movie in time for Thanksgiving, not Halloween. Made no sense. Every scene felt like it was a piece of a puzzle that didn't fit together once put together. Literally. It didn't fit. Nothing fit together. This was terrible. Alright, so we're getting to the 10 things that every Resident Evil needs, whether it be game, movie, or anything in between. Number 1 is horror, ambiance, music, sound. I like the music. I like the ambiance, honestly. 2, puzzles, minigame, and difficulty does not count. 3, backtracking, maps, locations. I hated the locations. Everything looked bland. I don't care if it looked great. They didn't interact with it, which means it was what? Green screen. 4, tyrants, bosses, mini bosses, optional bosses. Disgusting. I don't like them. 5, different perspectives. I was sick of bouncing back and forth. That was so annoying. 6, zombies, viruses, BOWs. Only says G and T once. Bad CGI for the enemies. Terrible. 7, corporations, anti-capitalism, umbrella, Tricell, etc. The stars units were decimated and combined for some reason. Wesker sucks because whatever Tom Hopper was trying to deliver, like whatever he was trying to do, whatever direction he was given, it was not working. It was horrible. He did not work as a tragic hero, villain hero. I don't know what you were trying to go for, but it didn't work. It was disgusting. I hated it. 8, gameplay, control, movement, enemies, weapons, da-da-da-da. Movement of enemies, you know. Da-da-da-da. Notable weapons cannot save this trash movie. 9, continuity. Does it fit in the story of Resident Evil? No. 1,000,000 times no. 10, overall story. Does it stand alone? No. 1,000,000,000 times. If you want me to not compare your movie with the namesake, how about you don't use the namesake? Make your own story. I will always compare your work to the work of reference, especially if you think you can profit off a popular name such as Resident Evil or Silent Hill. You have to actually try. Spending all and putting all your effort into and releasing unwarranted and unnecessary trailers for each character to lessen the blow is not trying. When you put more effort into what the truck driver's burger looks like rather than getting Williams' forms right, you're not trying. Work smarter. No participation cookie for you trying hard for the wrong things. I give this movie a 0 out of 10. Has nothing to do with half, partially, not really Black Jill. Has absolutely nothing to do with Asian Jodega. Has absolutely even nothing to do with the fact that Chief Irons is just a dude from another show. A better show than this movie. Has to do with Johanne failing. I may do another video about comparing and contrasting the characters from Alice's movie and Johannes' movie, but I'm not doing that right now. I don't care. I don't feel like it. I'm done. Hope you guys enjoyed, I guess. I did not enjoy this movie. It was not worth anything. It was not worth any amount of money. I suggest you watch it as free as possible. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. It is not a good movie. It was poorly edited. It was poorly edited. You can't see anything. It's all black. And when it's not black, it's too bright. Nothing's good about this movie. I don't see where anyone says, oh, it could be Stop giving cookies for nothing. Stop giving cookies. That's how we get more nothing. That's how we get more nothing. I'm done.